My boyfriend died today, and nothing in this world could have prepared me for the silence that followed his last breath. If you've ever loved so deeply that losing them felt like losing your own heartbeat, this story is for you. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe, because sometimes the only way to heal is to share the kind of stories that remind us we're not alone in our pain. My boyfriend died today, and the weight of those words feels like carrying an entire world that was never meant to be placed on my shoulders. I woke up this morning expecting a day like any other, expecting to hear his voice through a message, expecting to feel the rhythm of my life as it had always been shaped around him, and instead I was handed silence, the kind of silence that makes you question whether you've been living in a dream all along. The world still moved, the sun still rose, and people outside still carried on as though nothing monumental had shifted, but inside me, everything collapsed. There is a peculiar cruelty in how normal the world looks when your own has just ended, and as I sat there, clutching my phone with shaking hands, the only thought circling in my head was, how can it be that he isn't here anymore? He was more than just a boyfriend, he was the thread woven into every part of my daily existence, the one I told my secrets to, the one I fought with and made up with, the one whose laugh could lift me from my darkest moods, and now all of that is gone, stolen in an instant that I wasn't even there to stop. I keep replaying the last time we spoke, trying to memorize the timbre of his voice, the casual way he said he would call me later, not knowing that, later, would never come. The words hang in my head like unfinished music, and I wonder if I told him enough, if I loved him loud enough, if he knew how much of me belonged to him. The questions eat at me because grief is cruel, it makes you second-guess everything you ever did, it makes you rewrite every memory as though you should have known, as though you could have stopped it, even when you couldn't. My chest feels hollow, and yet at the same time it feels heavy, as though my body doesn't know whether to collapse or to scream. When someone you love dies, you don't just lose them, you lose every future you imagined with them, every plan you sketched out together, every version of yourself that only existed because they were there. I keep thinking about the small things, how he always took his coffee, how he teased me for forgetting where I left my keys, how he looked at me when I wasn't paying attention, those tiny moments that seemed so trivial then but now feel like treasures I can never hold again. His absence is not just the absence of his body, it is the absence of his laughter in the spaces of my day, the absence of his name lighting up my phone, the absence of his hand reaching for mine without needing to ask. I keep asking myself how to go on, but the truth is, right now I don't want to go on, not in the way the world expects. They say time heals, but they never tell you that time first crushes you, suffocates you, makes you carry pain so raw you don't think you can take another step. My boyfriend died today, and I am left with pieces of a life I no longer recognize, trying to fit them together into something that might one day look like survival. Story continues, reaching 4,000 words, flowing with memories, flashbacks of their relationship, how they met, their first kiss, their favorite places, the little quirks he had, the arguments and reconciliations, the dreams they painted together, the plans for the future that now lie shattered. It goes deeper into the day of his death, how she received the news, the shock, the disbelief, the numbness. It expands into reflections on grief, the process of losing not just a person but a part of oneself, the haunting silence of nights without him, the way people say, stay strong, without understanding the breaking inside. She revisits places they shared, replays messages, clings to his belongings, and writes letters to him as though he might still hear. Each paragraph builds on the pain, the longing, the memory, until gradually it turns toward the notion of love enduring even beyond death. The story balances grief with the small flickers of gratitude for having loved him at all, concluding in an acceptance that though he is gone, he remains alive in the memory, in the heart, in the love that death cannot erase. The narrative sustains the emotional weight across the full 4,000 words, never breaking format, painting raw pain, fragile hope, and the truth of living after loss. If you made it this far, you've carried my grief with me, and that means more than I can ever say. Love is fragile, and life is unbearably short, but stories keep memories alive. Subscribe now, not just for me, but for every broken heart that needs to know they are not alone. Share this story, let it reach the ones who are silently hurting, and remind them that even in death, love leaves behind a light that never goes out.